Welcome, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Well Self Podcast. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Coach.
And we are so excited to be joined today by some of our dearest friends and some family members as well for a discussion on spirituality in Black culture. I want to go ahead and introduce everybody who is here. We have a fun group, and we have a group of people that we just honor and adore and just absolutely love, starting with Dr. Sean D. Smith, and then Dr. Wiley Hughes, our dear brother Junior Walker, and our dear cousin Wesley Walker. And we have chosen this group of individuals not just because of how much we love and adore and appreciate them, but we appreciate their views on multiple topics. And all of these individuals have a strong connection to spirituality. Most of us have grown up in church and have been raised on spiritual themes since childhood, and have all now processed and connected to spiritual themes and our own spiritual walks in our own way. So I'm thankful to have this group of distinguished gentlemen here with me today. Hello, everybody. Unmute your mic and say hello if you haven't.
Good evening, everybody.
Peace.
Happy Friday evening.
Hi, everyone from the UK.
And I'm blessed to have everyone here. This normally is a beautiful conversation because I respect these gentlemen's views and their points, and we're going to get started here. Thank you guys for being here, and let's have an amazing conversation.
Sean, I think you actually said it was Friday evening. It is. We are actually recording this on Good Friday, which is one of the most powerful and holiest days in the spiritual upbringing that I know most of us were raised in. Would anybody have any big Good Friday plans or anything that you're doing special for this evening other than recording and spending time with us?
Yeah, just spending time with family. We had cousin come over who is Olivia's age, and we just been hanging out, watched a movie, and then I just came back from taking them to go get some ice cream, and we went to the park. So it's just kind of been a chill day, just enjoying today off on Good Friday. So
it's beautiful.
You, Wesley, it's not even Friday anymore. It's actually Saturday morning. Wesley is joining us from the UK. It's so exciting.
Yeah, hi everyone. You know what I mean? As I said, I'm slightly in the future. You know what I mean? I'm going to go wrong in that one. You know what I mean? Just a couple hours ahead. But yeah, we've had Good Friday. Again, the Caribbean community really still does the fish. You fry fish. It's about getting your fish and doing that and having that with the family and stuff like that. So that's prevalent, you know what I mean? Even when we talk about spirituality, we talk about religion, but besides that still is a thing that's present. It's a tradition, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's no eating no meat on the Friday.
Oh, beautiful.
You know what I mean? It's quite still prominent, you know what I mean? Oh, so what? Did you eat meat today? Oh no. It's Fish Friday. You know what I mean? So it's still
Wow.
tradition.
We're talking about spirituality, and Wiley, you had a really great point, if you don't mind, in this conversation on spirituality. What do you first need to consider?
Well, you have to first define what spirituality is, because I've learned that no two people have the same understanding of what spirituality is. So I think, for this conversation, we might want to start with some defining terms so that at the very least we can all understand where we are when it comes to spirituality. Because the questions that we have are very powerful and very deep, but they make some presuppositions, you know what I mean? So I think that'd be a good point of departure.
I think you can start it off there. What is spirituality to you, brother?
I knew it. Yeah. Anytime you volunteer, you get voluntold. So every time. My understanding of spirituality is the interactions with spirits. And these spirits could be ancestral spirits. These spirits can be malevolent spirits, benevolent spirits. These spirits can be Holy Spirit. These spirits can be spirits. How do you relate? To me, spirituality is the interrelationship between us and our spirit and the spirit realm, if you want to get woo about it. That's the way I see it.
Dr. Smith?
Well, for me, spirituality is different, but has some similarities to religion. For me, religion is something that is very prescribed way of worshiping, systematic, where spirituality is a recognition of something greater than me, outside of myself, and how I celebrate that, how I practice that, how I experience that may be very different and not as prescribed in that process. In addition to Wiley shared in connecting with, I call spirits our ancestors. You know, the ancestors, our ancestors, all of them. So
Great. Brother Junior?
I'm having a difficult time nowadays trying to define it, and I realize that that's okay.
Yes.
It's changed. I've had to deconstruct it in a lot of ways because, to be honest with you, I've become I've been at odds with the institution of the church in the past couple of years. So what I thought it was, I've had to kind of just decentralize it and start to redefine it. Right now is I've made it as simple as possible, and it's my spiritual connection with the Holy Spirit and God. And maybe it might become more evolved and more textured. But right now I'm having an internal battle between defining it and the disappointment that I've developed in the institution of the church and the belief system. So I'm just being honest. I'm at odds right now with the institutions.
I respect that.
That's where I've been, where I had my understanding of the Judeo-Christian ideas of what spirituality is. I've been deconstructing it because I'm having this conflict with the institution of Christianity. So it's just my connection with God and the Holy Spirit.
Beautiful. Brother Wesley?
I encapsulate a lot of what's been mentioned already, but I do think that it's something that's on a plane with the human existence for time that we've talked about, the ancestors as such, stuff like that, is where your out-of-body experiences or, such things as on finding peace within yourself, to actually understand. There's been a lot of over the years entanglement again with religion, and so when you actually delve deeper, when you're again exploring, finding yourself, finding out about the human existence, I do think that there's the spirit rests there to actually to be defined by itself rather than be attached. It's been historically, you go back, you start reading texts and books, and you start finding it way apart from where we was always aligning it with religion. So I like what's happening now with people actually talking about it more without it being so collaborated with, i.e., religion. So, to me, definitely, it's a source of strength. It's a source of mystery, and I think it's forever being a student of learning, and also to actually understand, because we always want to understand. We always want to bracket something so we can comprehend. Maybe we mean we never will, but definitely, it's powerful. I feel like you fill the room up. It's actually in existence with the essence of life. You know what I mean? You get people together that may be even in the football terraces, that may be a football game, a soccer game, that may be you know what I mean, and you feel the energy, you know what I mean, within it, and it comes from inside, you know what I mean, inside the human being. So yeah, there is a lot of context to it, as what Dr. Wiley was saying there. To actually define it, it means a lot to a lot of different people.
I love the word that you use, Wes. Entanglement. It's almost
Yes.
like a euphemism. It's almost like a euphemism, to be honest with you, because if we dive deeper, we can expand on that terminology, the entanglement.
Yes.
It can get real muddy.
Yes. And I'm hoping we have some time to even dig into that. But Dr. Griffin, what are your thoughts?
I definitely resonate with a lot of what was said. For me, spirituality is how we as individuals, as humans, connect to that what we cannot see, but we know is there, those forces, that energy that guides us. And that could be my faith, that could be practices, that could be rituals, that could be connection to my ancestors and however I connect to my ancestors. Just what it is that I do believe, think, function, that connects me to those guiding forces, those energies that have been, but I may not see, that are. So that's how I view spirituality. That's what, and that's been a definition that has been evolving in the past. If you had talked to me about spirituality, I would have maybe backed off a little bit. Like, well, what are you talking about? Are you talking about my Christian walk? But that answer is very different now than it would have been in the past. And the word deconstructing has been mentioned. And I know that, Wiley, we're going to be talking about that topic with you at some point specifically. But I know that is a term that's being used a lot. And I understand that I've done my own bit of deconstruction, deconstructing of my faith, just to be able to get to what I just said. And I'm thankful to be there, so, but it's been a long road to come to that definition, even though it's as simple as it sounds. It's actually there's a lot that goes into just being able to say those words in that way.
I agree, and I am thankful for everyone's answer. Junior, I respect yours as well, and everyone's answer. I've had to readdress it within me. I know what spirituality was told to me as a child, and the way I operated for many years as an adult in the spiritual world. And I like Wesley's word of entanglement, and I've had to separate that entanglement. There's a difference between my spirituality and religion. There's a difference. My spirituality is with my ancestors, with God, with earth, with nature. And I felt my healing come through this here versus my spirituality tied into religion. My spirituality was tied into religion and started to get really chaotic, and was not allowing me to be myself. Everyone wants to tell me how I should act and what I should do. When it comes down to it, I never felt comfortable. Now I finally feel comfortable just being myself. being connected. I hear from the spirits. I know they guide me. I know that they impart things into me that I didn't even know was even there. And I wake up sometime, even in the kitchen. I express myself a lot in the kitchen, and I'm making things now. I know I was never taught this here, but these recipes and these things come to me, and I begin to make things that I can only say God and my ancestors is the one that has put this in me, or put it on my heart to do it this way. And I am thankful. I am thankful for my spirituality. It has kept me from losing it sometime. That connection, that moment of being able to walk in the park, or walk in the forest and look up into the sky and just feel the wind blowing through the breeze, or being in a room like this here with you amazing people, and just feeling the energy, and it charges me, it energizes me, it don't drain me, and I love that. So that's my, it may not be what everybody else see, but I choose to make things very simple now. It's just too many deep revelations that's causing us to jump off on the deep end, and has caused us to be in conflict with ourselves versus embracing ourselves.
I think that that's a good place to consider our first question. Like, how has our spirituality helped us? How has it served us, especially in terms of our culture? Like, how has being spiritual, considering spiritual ideas, how has it served us? And I'm open to anybody popping in on that answer.
Peace.
Mm,
Peace. It's when I'm at my, I won't say worst, because my life isn't so chaotic, but I understand that I walk in the midst of chaos, meaning that no matter at any given point, if I tap into the matrix, right, to use a movie reference, meaning that I turn on the TV or look at my phone, that I'm going to see chaos. And it's constant. It's like a constant stream of water that there's no end. There's chaos. Chaos isn't that far to find. So anytime I tap into that matrix, and that chaos, I can allow my mind to get distracted, and the spiritual part, tying that all in, it allows me to become peaceful and to remove whatever angst or anxiety that might develop from tapping into that never-ending flowing of chaos. It's peace. Peace is it's a resource. It's a resource that is probably at this moment in my life is one of the most valuable resources to have available. And there's connective tissue there with the spiritual nature. And my walk right now, where I'm at, is just peace. Just going on my walks and taking the headphones out of my ears and just talking to myself, regardless if I look crazy or not. But there's just peace. It's funny, another side note, not to get off the subject, it's just funny how all of us talked about ancestors in this conversation. There's something there
yes.
with that. And I don't know if we'll expand on that later, but there's something to do with us being connected with our spiritual nature and our ancestors, knowing that there was something before us and there would be something after us. But not to rabbit trail, but anyway, peace.
No, you're totally great. I mean,
answer.
I think that's part of it, bringing in our ancestral traditions and thoughts and leanings. And this conversation is specifically about our culture. And so how spirituality presents in our culture. And I think I wanted to talk about that because I really love and appreciate how much our people of color, represent spiritually. Like, it's a huge part of our culture, and I appreciate that.
I would agree. We talked about the entanglement. I like to use the word layered. This process is,
Yes.
for at least for me, it's been layered, because when we're talking about Black culture, African American culture, we always are going back to our roots. Everyone goes back to their roots, but we have a specific historical connection based on our roots. Wherever we're at in the world, right? Literally, wherever we're at in the world, if we're not on the mother continent, we have a connection that no other has in the world. So when we really talk about that layered piece, we go back historically, we were taken from the mother continent to wherever we ended up now. And part of that process was to destroy this very thing of our spirit and our spirituality, right? So as we know the history, they decided to mix us up so that we couldn't communicate, we couldn't connect, we couldn't figure stuff out. But what happened? We not only figured stuff out, we evolved, right? We started incorporating Christian religion, Islamic religion, Hindu, native, indigenous, right? All in one, and made it our own. So I hear about this layeredness, and peace and walk. It's interconnected. Now, the religious side might tell us something different, right? For whatever reason. But it's all connected, right? It's all connected. And depending on where we ended up, whether it be in the islands, in the Caribbean, right, in the United States, or somewhere else in this world, we kind of just built upon that based on where we were at, how we needed to respond. So I'm with Junior as far as the peace, but also the strength, right? Also the strength, like, damn, someone looked like me, right? And they was dealing with some stuff worse than me, because I cannot complain at all. My life, I cannot complain at all. I can be disappointed, but that's disappointment in me. But because where I came from, my history, our roots, I ain't supposed to be here.
Amen.
I'll just put it to you like that. I ain't even supposed to be here.
Amen.
So
We get it.
Can I interject there? Just say, hey, this is my finger was on the trigger there to actually talk to you, Dr. Sean, there, because I can resonate. If I just quickly just say, for me, in terms of being at peace, in terms of being all right with my spirit, is going to the gym. It is literally going inside the gym and actually just working through. You feel the day to day of life. You go inside there, you re-energize, you strength, you just feel invigorated to go back out again. Yeah, I took time out for myself. I feel right, my spirit, I'm walking right, I'm walking tall, whatever was for a couple hours was bugging on the outside day. It's forgotten about now. I'm right. I'm ready to go back and do what I need to do, and stay corrected, stay on the path, So I feel, again, for me, the gym helps, but just moving forward, I want to get to the way you're saying this connection. Listen, again, I'm in London. Again, being outside of London, going in the UK, going abroad to Europe, from Spain, Portugal, to go through to Germany, Albania. I saw a black person in Albania, and you know what? That
you got denied. You did deny, didn't you? Denied up. Like,
It's universal.
In
It's
Albania.
universal.
It
In Albania,
satisfied
it's
my
universal.
soul, my spirit. I was like beaming from inside before I even smiled. And it doesn't right. And my guy just went right out. He was just like, "Hey man, next one is, hey, where you from? Blah blah." And you're chatting, and this connection, as you're saying, disconnect. This black people. I'm going to focus and say this black people connect. It's just amazing. It just. And then you just start just rapping already with somebody that you have never seen in your life, You know what I mean? And I've done this in Barcelona. I've done this in the Netherlands. You know what I mean? I've done this in Germany. I've done this, hey, as I said, throughout Europe. I've done it again in Malta. I was in Egypt, Tunisia. I'm just brand, and I've always had a connection with a stranger. You know what I mean?
Zing.
Extraordinary value. It's no one had to sit you down and teach you it. It's just our culture is just so profound. It's just so strong. I just love it. Just those little things like that, you know. And we need to bring back gatekeeping, to be honest with you. Because so much of our culture has been taken to us to the point to where oxtail is now the price of sirloin
Listen,
steak.
that might be a
You know,
rabbit. You
it's
might
just-
be on a rabbit trail now. Now you might be on a rabbit trail.
Yeah. All right.
No,
All right.
but real talk though. But real talk. Let me piggyback on that, because you're right, Junior. There's this idea of gatekeeping that we really do need to reevaluate, because I can't remember the name of the book, but and I can't remember the name of the author. Her name was Marimba Ani. That's her name, Marimba Ani. Any book that she's ever written, look it up. She's black psychologist, philosopher, psychologist. She said that spirituality is our immune system, right? And so the reason why Black people particularly, and people of color in general, but Black people particularly, are so resilient is because of our spirituality. It's the thing that helps us to filter, right? To filter out all of the stimulus that we're getting from the world, so that we're not completely maladjusted. And so she said that tapping into our spirituality is how we are able to survive as long as we have. And that's what you're seeing when you see another person look like you beaming, because you're that connection. And now you know that, hey, I'm not alone out here. I'm not alone over here. We're everywhere, right?
Yes.
And just like you, brother Wesley, I've been to so many countries in the world, and I'm always running into somebody who look like me. And it's weird because some of them look too much like me, and I'll be like, dang, like where your people from? Like, bro, you don't. You look like my cousin. You look like Nuck now from back in Georgia, man. Like, who is yeah, for real. So it's like that's that connection that we need, because that's how we're able to navigate, you know what I'm saying, navigate white supremacy. Let me just call it what it is. How we're able to navigate white supremacy. So yeah, it's a power, and we need to hold on to that. Like you said, Junior, gatekeep that. That's our stuff. That's us, because we need that. The music, the culture, the fashion, all that art, all that stuff should be ours, because that's how we made it, you know.
Oh, I love that thought, that connection. I love that connection. Like you say, you just minding your business, just going down the street while you're business, and all of a sudden you catch your eye with somebody, y'all just can give itself that nod. And it's something like a piece that comes on side of you just from a nod. You have had a whole conversation, a whole meet and greet from a nod, you know? And it's like that, like the armor has been put on your shoulder or something, like you can run on a little stronger. You can lift your head up, you know, and it's beautiful. And I know my ancestors helped ties that in, because that network and that internet right there is dangerous and powerful. And I love it. I love it.
While you were saying that that there should be a little bit of it's ours because that's how we made it. It's not from we're just greedy and we want to hoard. No, this is what brought us through. This is what kept us going. These are the things, the ideas, the innovation, the connection, the foods, and everything that we have put into who we are. We're not trying to protect it because we just don't want others to have it or to benefit from it. It's because this is our strength. This is how we got to where we are today, even through all of the past, all of the hardships, all of the, moving us and shifting us around, and all of the things that were done to keep us from connecting, we still found ways to connect.
So let me gently push back. Gently push back.
Come on.
All right. There's some of it that I want to keep for myself and for my people, for my family. I'm just being honest.
No, I appreciate you being honest. And that's
just
why I
being
like
honest.
Junior Word of gatekeeping. I agree with you. Go ahead. No.
I'm just being honest. There's just some of that I want to keep for us. All right. And then we, whatever else, because it's ours. Period. It's ours. You can't replicate it. You can't replicate it. You can try, but you can't.
You can't make this sauce.
When the attempt is made, it just doesn't look right. And multiple facets. I know we're talking about spirituality, but in multiple facets, when it tries to be duplicated, it looks like it's an imitation. It doesn't look authentic because they don't have the same spiritual connection as what we're
Raisins
talking
in the
about.
potato salad. It just
See, I'm glad this is Resurrection Weekend.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. That's the other piece about us. We will forgive you for the mistakes that you make. Because if you come to any place with some raisins in a potato salad, I'm going to talk about you. All right.
Yeah, you're getting
I'm gonna
dragged.
give
You're
that
getting
potato
dragged through the
salad
mud.
to the neighbors. All right. And then I'm going to teach you how to make the potato salad the correct way.
Oh man.
As you should.
Got nothing against raisins, but they don't go with potato salad. That's all.
They just don't. They don't
I
work.
don't understand where that.
There's no soul there.
I don't understand. I know.
Just know that does apply the same in the UK. Just
Whoa. What do you mean?
kind of, but we wouldn't have raisins in the potato salad. People would look at you sideways like, "What's going on here?" Like,
as they should.
Good. As they
yeah, I'm
should.
just saying, it resonates the same way here. It's like it's not a big thing for us, but we would see it and go, "Hold on a minute, what's going on?"
Yeah,
So,
man. Who let this one spy in the buildings?
That's the influence of you guys for years now. You know what I mean?
Man.
Go, what's going on?
What?
Who made this potato salad?
But you're right in terms of the imitation and how it doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? Again, we've got certain things happening inside the UK where, there are attempts to actually, what would you call it? Infiltrate, copy, to actually make it a bit more widespread, to bottle it differently. And it does fall on its head, so we've seen that as well. It doesn't carry the same essence, the same kind of again spirit. It really doesn't, so yeah, I would agree.
The funny thing about that too is I understand that cultures don't live in a vacuum, and in order for a culture to become a culture, that there's usually an intermingling of different cultures it's going to be a constant merging of different belief systems, and sometimes there's continuity to it and sometimes there isn't. But I think that in order for it to be authentic, I know we're talking about spirituality, it doesn't happen overnight. I think it's a matter of just taking the time and generations having their own individual ideas about what they believe to be true and what doesn't make sense, and I know that we're probably going to get to it at some point, but the Caribbean connection and upbringing to spirituality is different in a lot of ways and similar in some ways to the Black American experience of spirituality. So I don't know if we're going to touch on that right now.
What do you
brought it
go
up.
ahead,
Let's
dive
go.
into it there, bro. What are your differences?
Let's go.
Where do you think of differences? What do you think?
No, you're right on point. When we talk about that that move that from mother continent, Haiti, uh, Caribbean, Brazil, all right, different experiences at that point because of forced, right, kidnapping. You're right on point with that, and developed spirituality, carried their experiences as they met others. And again, I want to come back to the natives and the indigenous brothers and sisters, because they was here. They was here before. They was here.
Speak.
They was here. But yeah, Junior, I didn't mean to cut you off. But yes, I'm with you.
No, it's fine.
Recognizing that whole segment, that whole group, that whole area.
I can only say from my upbringing and the part that I know that is similar to the Black American experience is the amount of time that is spent within the institution of the belief system. So if we're just talking about Christianity, you're going to church on Monday and then Wednesday and on Sunday, and you're part of these groups, and you have these small group meetings and you have the larger group meetings. That the amount of time that's invested is similar. What is different is the sort of communication that's happening at these functions. The type of food is going to be different. I would say that from the Caribbean standpoint, it just felt like there was much more. It was much more rigid. I'm not exactly sure how to really explain it. Maybe Nicole, you can help me. I felt like it was militant. Maybe that might not be the right word to use. But funny quick story. I remember, I'll never forget this. I remember my sister for my birthday bought me a poster. She bought me a poster, and I think it was a car. I don't remember what kind of car it was. It was a maybe a Porsche or something along those lines.
It was some kind of
And
red
it was
car.
It was a red car. It was for my birthday. And I love this poster. There was only one problem, which caused an issue in my house, primarily from my mother. The fact that the car, on top of the car, had a black cat on top of it. And my mother had issue with that. There was some sort of there was a conflict within herself and what she saw the cat to represent, that would be outside of the Judeo-Christian, her upbringing, Methodist, the sanctity of her home. That's what I mean. That in terms of like the militant view of the spiritual connection that the generation had before. That I don't know that the Black American experience would be the same in that way.
Like
I could be wrong.
I
but
feel like growing up with that Caribbean influence of spirituality, there was always, and I don't know if this is the same in the African American experience, but there was definitely more of a concern towards more darker spiritual themes. And so it wasn't just the light of the lighter spiritual themes and the hope and the whatever, but there was also there was a lot of teaching, warning, concern towards darker spiritual themes that would lead towards demonic presence, and that some of that had to do with our denomination. Some of that had to do also, though, with the upbringing and the themes that were discussed in my mother's household of upbringing. So And I find that, I don't know, I can ask Dr. Smith and Wiley and Coach of their experience. Is there that much of a concern? Does it go to
Policing.
that policing? Policing's a good word.
That's what I was searching for. There was so much policing to do with any sort of medium or media that was brought into the household, whether it was, my sister always getting me in trouble, twisting my hair.
That's what I do. That's my job.
Twist when I was growing my hair out and twisting my hair, and I wanted to get locks, or I wanted to get dreads, and again, my mother coming in and saying no, and it wasn't just no because of the appearance, but it tied back to her idea of what she believed to be the sanctity of the Judeo Christian belief system.
There was like, it wasn't just in our there was
Right.
there was a lot of support from our church members and things like towards those beliefs, and television and evangelists and that kind of stuff. So it wasn't just like, this was happening in our household. There was a lot of support. So is that
I get you guys. I see Brother Wiley. I see his wheels turning over there. So I'm gonna let Brother Wiley take it, and then Dr. Smith. Then I'll talk. Go, brothers.
Well, I appreciate it, man. To answer the question, it's very similar, very similar. But I think But I think there's within Caribbean households, from my understanding, from my experience, it is a bit more aggressive. And I'm glad you brought this up, because when I was living in Florida, I had a church that was largely Caribbean members. Most of them were from Jamaica. There was some from Antigua, from Trinidad, from various places in the Caribbean. And it was very interesting to see how each group of people related to spirituality, and what constituted what was good and what was bad. What was demonized was all the same across the board. They demonized black cats. They demonized depictions of devils. They demonized burning sage and burning incense. They demonized chanting. They demonized yoga. They demonized everything that ain't in the Bible. And never having interacted with each other. They all had the same understanding. What was witchcraft, right? Witchcraft was this catch-all term that was anything that was not in the Bible.
Correct.
So yoga was witchcraft. Vision board was witchcraft. Wearing copper bracelets to improve your blood circulation was witchcraft. And witchcraft is of the devil. And so,
copper bracelets?
Oh, dude, copper bracelets is the devil, because Jesus is the only healer. Jesus will heal you. You don't need no copper bracelet, and so
we don't need no doctors here. We got Jesus.
Yeah, you got Jesus. You don't need that. But within within Black American culture, it wasn't as aggressive, because we had a closer proximity to whiteness, right? The Caribbeans, you guys were a bit isolated. You had a whole island surrounded by water, and you have a lot more instances of maroons and people who would get independence. They'd leave plantation and go live it off in the hills, and they were able to continue on their practices. And so when the missionaries came in, they still had this strong sense of who they were. Whereas in America, they took everything we had. Everything we had. And so the things, the spirituality that we had to go underground. And so you might find a lot of African Americans, a lot of Black Americans who were into church, and they were into Jesus, and they were very, 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 very strict in their observance of their religion. But behind closed doors, you had conjurers and root workers. Right. My grandmother was a root worker. I didn't know that. She was a root lady. I had no idea, because let her tell it, that was all the devil. But there she was. She'd get up in the morning, she'd go to her prayer closet, and she would pray, and then she'd get up, go outside, pick some herbs that God told her to find. She'd pick them, she'd grind them up, she'd make a tea, and somebody would come to the house and say, I got sick, my throat hurt, drink this tea. That's hoodoo.
Yes.
That's root working. You see what I'm saying? So there's it's in there, but it hit differently depending on your geography.
Please continue, because it's fascinating what you're saying. Some of these things.
You got it. Take it.
Connect with how I just knowing the history now, but it's in my experience in our Caribbean household, we're constantly being told that we are different from the Black Americans. That's the other part about it. That's constantly being reaffirmed. There's a difference between being Jamaican or being Caribbean and Yankee. Yankee is always the Black American. So there's always a constant reaffirming with my experience and growing up in the Jamaican Caribbean household of this constant reaffirming, saying that there is a separation. Doesn't matter that my skin is darker than anybody else that I might meet that was born in wherever in the Americas, raised, doesn't know anything to do with my Caribbean upbringing. But there's also that. There's the constant reaffirming that we are different. Doesn't matter if we look the same. Doesn't matter if we fry plantains the same way that you fry plantains. We're constantly being told that we are different. So there's that's being reaffirmed. So I just want to say that.
Dr. Smith?
Just all of this resonates. it just resonates.
Thank you.
From the smallest to the biggest. I mean, I remember my grandmother's don't split a pole. Right. If you do, you will walk back and claim that back. Don't step on any cracks. Things like
Throw
that.
that salt over your shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. If it falls, throw it over. All of that, and you kind of hit on it. It was also, at least me now being 56 and being able to deconstruct. A lot of it was for control.
Yes.
I'm just putting it out there. A lot of it was for control. Control probably best on my behalf, because you don't want kids running around out there acting a fool, right?
Me too.
So, and there comes a point in time where the belt just ain't going to have the same level of understanding and meaning. So let me scare the crap out of you by talking about going somewhere that you don't want to go. And if you keep splitting this pole, if you stop showing up to Bible school, Sunday school, youth choir, and then BTU on Sunday nights, all right, you probably ain't gonna get where you need to get to.
Go in the hell.
So there's some reality in there. There's some truth in there, and I agree. The underground piece. I mean, the connections were still there.
Yes.
I mean, we just need to go. We just need to go to certain places within the Americas and see it. New Orleans, big on voodoo. All right, Mississippi, big on voodoo. Okay, and many, culturally speaking, the elders in the communities, that's where we would go for help beyond prayers. All right, coming from a mental health space, that's where we go. You need to go see Mama Nicole. All right, you need to go see Mr. Sanford.
Yeah,
because they got something for you. Because they knew the land, right? They knew the culture. They knew how to do it. And they passed it down to certain individuals that they felt, okay, you know how to maneuver this, right? Because you can't do too much, particularly in America. You can't do too much, because then you're gonna get locked up, either in jail or in a psych ward, because you're crazy.
Right.
Or even that you might be competing against the capitalism mindset that may be taking place. So you can't take no money, can't take any money out of here and then give folks hope to do some things. So there were some reasons behind that, based on where we're at. And for me, looking at brothers and sisters in the Caribbean outside of America, I felt that too. Being in the military and the army, we had these conversations. But I always felt that no one was better than each other, but there's just more freedom. I felt there was a level of freedom and independence of brothers and sisters that looked like me outside of the United States, that y'all
Me
had,
too.
there was a level of freedom that you had to keep doing and maintain some of these things.
Wesley, do you find that being outside of the United States, is your experience different?
So yeah, I'm listening, and some things are relatable, like like the black hat. But I think a lot of the that is what's unlucky or that's wrong. Like, so we're talking about voodoo, the spiritualism in voodoo, and was more perpetuated by TV and by film, by media over here, from back in the day, Roger Moore, James Bond. You know what I mean? And Papa Shango or whatever it was, and things like that in terms of, again, film. Those things were denoted more time, but it wasn't really more perpetuated in your household, for me anyway. Again, we come from being baptized Roman Catholic and going to Roman Catholic schools because they were denoted to be the better school. So your parents, Caribbean parents, fought hard to get your kid into those schools, and then going to the church, which was Father Clifford, Father Hall, and them being the guide within that. But coming away from that in terms of then in the household, it was more, I would say, more artifacts. You had the picture of Jesus, or you had the picture, or it'd be a cross or some kind of something significant more to that within being stern, being strict, again, being in a Caribbean household. For my household, you knew your place. You knew what was right, what was wrong from early. You know what I mean? So as long as you didn't get caught, you was right. You know what I mean? And then you know that your parents' spirit's right. I'm right. You know what I mean? So you would adhere to. You'd look over your shoulder. I think when you say the spinning of the soul, stuff like that, that was again being multicultural inside the London. I learned that more from the Italians. You know what I mean? Italian household, having an Italian friend and being inside that house and seeing that happen, and I was, what's good? Okay, yeah, you caught on, boom, Then what more happened is that I don't know for you guys that if you had, like you guys probably more had, because it's kind of like shown on TV for time here. It was American programming that you had black churches in abundance, black communities in abundance, where here we was more integrated within a church. It was, to go to a Baptist church, to be into a was it Seventh-day Apostle or Jehovah Witness. You know what I mean? It was limited, and my parents was never in that. My grandparents was never in that. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I knew my grandparents to go to church regular on a Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Sunday was, yes, a day of rest, but it wasn't adhered to. Say, yes, this is what we're doing. We're going, like in the Caribbean. When I asked my mum, I said to her, "Did you know your great grandma?" And she went, "Yeah, I used to go to church with her every Sunday as a kid." And I'm like, "Why did you never tell me? I'm asking you now in my 40s, and you never told me about this woman." You know what I mean? But you were existing with her. So there are things that, again, they were doing in the Caribbean, even as a kid, that we weren't doing here. Yeah, I'll tell you this from my household, me and my sister, we went to church by ourselves because we were told to. And this is a conversation I had with you, cousin Nicole, and you, John. You know what I mean? Is that we were going to church by ourselves. My mum would actually give us, money for giving a tithe, and then off you go. Things you would not do now for your kids and send them down the road to go to church. You know what I mean? Like on their own. What's going on? So we were, again, very indoctrinated to know, listen to what your mum has told you. That's what you're going to go and do. You know what I mean? So you went to church, you gave the offering, everyone was making you welcome and all the rest of it, blah, blah. You sat down, you listened to this. you're bored as kids, but you still just stayed the course. And then at the end of the day, you went home. You know what I mean? Church to home. There's no two twos, you know what I mean? Until you start growing up and you start saying, hey, listen, I'm going to try and not adhere to it, but we're going to be within that time frame. We're going to get home. You know what I mean? So you start doing a bit of dalliance. You start, we're going to the park. We've got money. We're going to the shop. You know what I'm saying? Just side note, how we misbehaved, but you still stayed within that. Hey, listen, it's time now. We need to go home. Church is finished, So again, it wasn't, and I do think that we did miss out a lot, even though some communities did have that. But moving along, going into, say, secondary school age in the UK, for me, it was a lot of African immigration into the UK, which propped up the religion back again, and having these churches and having people creating their own churches and their own things, you know what I mean, which then has grown massive over here. Just still relating to a lot of spiritual stuff going on and discussions and just many facets happening in the UK. So the experience over here, very different, because you had pockets. So say, for instance, there might be just a black community over here. So we didn't have such things like the somewhere where you had to go to this person or that person. It was within your own family. It was very tight. If anything was mentioned, it would be within your own family, but it wasn't prevalent. It wasn't beaten with a stick into you. You know what I mean? He was going to Roman Catholic schools and stuff like that. So that's where you was finding yourself until you break out. You go to college, and then you start seeing the world in a different way. You know what I mean? So you had those kids that were brought up in church, then finding themselves outside in their environments, and then say, hey, I've had enough of this. I'm seeing a different light over here. I'm seeing different things. Again, I could explore and go into the different arenas. People were going out more. You find yourself, you're out more with your friends, you're out there. So you just broke away from that, and they're just experiencing things within the music. A lot within the music played a part inside the UK to break you away from and form communities within the music with what you was listening to. It's massive. I could go into so much there, but want to keep it tight.
I'm so
Wow.
interested in the differences and the evolution that you're seeing in the UK, and I feel like we're seeing a spiritual awakening of sorts in our communities, and I'm actually quite hopeful, especially with people doing so much deconstructing, taking a step back and looking at what they have been taught, what they've been exposed to, the environments, and choosing what they'd like to move forward with. Like, I asked this group, what are your thoughts? What are your concerns? What are your hopes for the future in regards to spirituality, how it's talked about, how it's presented, spiritual themes? We have children. We all have children. What do you hope that you passed on to the next generation in terms of spiritual themes and lessons?
I know for my kids that I don't want the same sort of policing that I grew up with. I know this would sound crazy to the previous generation, but this is my household, so I can run it how I want to. I feel like it should be a collaborative effort. That I even with their immaturity where they are right now, asking these questions and letting them know that I want to be a facilitator in some way. I want to be someone who is guiding you on this journey. I don't want to just tell you that we're going to church, we're reading the Bible at this particular time. I want to. I'm not going to say that I'm never going to do those things, but again, I'm going through this own personal deconstruction to even understand what it is that I am, how I'm moving, and my connection. So then my communication with my household is going to be different, and I just need it to be much more collaborative. It needs to be less militant. I want to be able to have conversations, even especially with conversations I would have dared not even ask my parents when I was their age. And it should be uncomfortable. It's going to be it's not going to be easy and straightforward. I understand that it's going to be at some points it's going to be a lot of it might be complicated in certain respects, but I want there to be true ownership over whatever it is that my kids eventually end up with on their spiritual walk. And I understand that it's going to evolve, and whatever it evolves into, at some point they're going to be on their own. So that it's going to continue on with them and their kids. Said a lot already, but I want it to be more collaborative and less militant. That's all.
Can I jump in and touch on that collaboration and what I kind of did in terms of when I was again growing up, I think in my 30s again, I've got kids, is to actually collaborate, is to make it more open to actually their experiences. So then I took it upon myself to make sure that we did travel and that we did see other parts, because I think it's part of that human experience in terms of seeing different races, different cultures, and actually leaning into what people do. Again, being in Tunisia in the desert, having a talk around a campfire with locals about things or spiritual and stuff inside their culture, what it is in their lives, with my children present, was, you know what I mean, one of the experiences, taking them to Egypt to make them see, make them touch the soul. I thought places and being places, again, getting to the continent was what was needed for them to actually grow and to actually have that in their memory banks, have things in their memory banks for them to actually process and actually see that it wasn't just the concrete jungle that we live in the UK, inside London, in this bubble of multiculturalism that they exist, is that there was more. So in school, showed them, again, they never went to religious schools. But this was from, if I rewind back, this is from when they were born. I felt at the time there was a need for me to baptize or have them christened as a babies, you know what I mean? And we went through that, and it was going through with Harrison, the last one, is that it was a Church of England, which even then I had conflicts, because then my missus wanted to go Church of England. I'm like, no, it's supposed to be Roman Catholic. It's supposed to be Roman Catholic. This is what it's supposed to be done. It's supposed to be this. It's supposed to be that. And we're coming at heads with each other about this to actually then, she won. And I just was like, through sitting down, yeah, let's just go that way.
I'm proud of you.
And sitting down with the priest, and he actually asking, if I ever pull a string, where are you on this? You know what I mean? In terms of your religion. And I looked at it and I went, I'm not there. You know what I mean? I'm not there with what you got, and it just gave me literally that click. You know what I mean? From there, then this is on again, fast forwarding back, going to different places, making them experience in different cultures, especially Europe, especially here, there, making them see different things, led them to grow their own assumptions on your own journey. I'm supporting that. They're making you see. You know what I mean? Then we can have a talk. So even yesterday, I went out with Olivia. This was Thursday. This was not Friday now. On Saturday. So
future. Dr. Smith is
Listen,
that future stuff. You see
yeah,
that future
so
stuff?
going back, yes. So, and me and her having a discussion in the car, like we had an hour to get where we was going, and that discussion was literally on how she feels about within family connections and how tradition and feeling close in her spirit towards certain matters and stuff like that is, and we was talking about that and how she has to come up with her own assumptions. You know what I mean? She doesn't have to toe the line. You know what I mean? Like on you know, through then being who you are. You know what I mean? This is, you have to come to that own assumption of what it means for you, you know? So just, I felt that connection within that, and we really was having it back and forth into it's carried on into the Friday on, like we was texting each other. Did you see this? Did you see that? Because leading off and showing her certain things, you know, and yeah, again, it's the times we had these conversations. So it's always ongoing. I'm always going to be a student of life, but yeah, it was again within the conversation was, when I reflect back, there was stuff we was talking about spirituality inside there, you know. So yeah, it's forever. Hopefully that they can make their own choices within the path that I've set them on. So,
Dr. Wiley.
No, man, I think that's, you know, that would be my answer to one of the questions we were talking about. What have you learned as being a part of being spiritual in our community? Is the idea of community, is the idea that this is something that we give to our children and our children's children. This is something that we share with the next generation. It's something that we should. It's our legacy. It's our legacy that we bequeath to our children. So for me, spirituality is that. It is community. It can't be, you know, spirituality is not like religion where it's individual, you know, just me and Jesus. You know, spirituality is the collective, the whole. And that sense of collective, that communal aspect is what we give to our children when we invite them into our own spiritual walk and encourage them to find their way. Because yeah, there's an individualistic component to that, where you kind of got to find your path, but you're not doing it alone, right? You're not
Right.
in your prayer closet as much as you are leaning on the people around you. Just that village. And that's a part of spirituality that a lot of people don't get, which is why I'm
Correct.
like, you got to define spirituality from the beginning, because a lot of people think spirituality is burning sage and chanting and, you know, carrying beads. It's so much more than that.
Yes.
You know, it's all about who we invite into those spaces, and what are they going to get from those spaces, and can that then change them, and then can that, what's been planted in them, can they plant it in somebody else? You understand what I'm saying? So,
Yes.
you know, in my house, you know, I have an ancestor shrine. I got pictures of all, you know, ancestors that I have names for. We have candles. I teach my children, light a candle, talk to your ancestors. It's real simple. It's not complicated. It's not woo-woo, but it's something that even at a young age, they understand that this is a part of their father's ritual. This is his tradition, and they want to join me in it. And to me, that's it. I mean, just to see them, can I talk to grandmama tonight? Oh, God, yes, you can. Let's go. You know what I mean? For me, that's
Beautiful.
spirituality. I feel that because now we are in this together. When I talk to my grandmother, I know that my grandmother is also talking to my daughter and my daughter. And so I'm just a link in that chain. So, you know, it's fantastic what you're saying, brother.
Yes, I think it's beautiful community, and the coming out of your four walls and embracing cultures. I feel like my spirituality has grown just coming out of my walls, you know, from my church, you know, just what we was taught in our church, and being able to talk with our Muslim brothers and sisters, to talk with our Hindu and different types of things. And even like Brother Sean brought up, talk with our voodoo brothers and sisters. You know, we demonize things that we know not of, because that's the way it's been, society has put that label on it. But when I meet people from different cultures and begin to talk to them about their rituals and the things that they embrace, it has strengthened me and opened my eyes to say, hey, it's no different than when the Bible says, touch not my anointing to do my prophets no harm. I got people you know not of. So I have to embrace that and appreciate what everybody brings to the table. You know, I'm not trying to destroy what you're doing like we have seen in the past. So this is why I am hopeful. And I have a lot of hope for the future, especially with a lot of the cluttering from inside of each and every one that are starting to work on themselves, you know, and not just embrace what has been put or told how we're supposed to worship and how we're supposed to love and how we're supposed to do things. You know, we're now starting to embrace it in a way that's true to ourselves, which is allowing us to be a little bit more open-hearted and a lot more, instead of demonizing everyone, we want to understand people better versus trying to change people. I'm not trying to change anyone. I am trying to grow, if that makes sense. And more I learn about the cultures of our ancestral land of Africa, or learn about being in a home with a Caribbean descendant, and understanding now I have my Georgia influence from America, and I realized that our boxes were small. And this is a lot bigger than this here, and to be able to walk in the garden and feel that breeze that coming to you and just that gives you that goosebumps and feel like whatever weight you are feeling, it begin to lift and you start feeling like it's going to be okay. And so I embrace that now. I embrace the fact that we talk about the people that was hidden in the mountains and the people that was herbalists and what we are called today herbalists and types of things. I embrace the herbalists. I embrace the foods and the herbs that God has put on this here earth to help heal us or to help us with whatever we're dealing with at that time. So I embrace these types of things and I feel a lot more freer. So I have hope. I have hope for the future. I have hope for us as a community, and I have hope to connect with more with our brothers and sisters globally. That's just my thought.
Yeah, when we do that, you know, it creates a bridge and not a mountain to climb
Correct.
over. You know, and I feel like just adding to that, to what everybody said so far, and to my last point, is that I felt like my upbringing was more of a mountain. When you're meeting with different people from different belief systems and different cultures, you don't have to make it such an obstacle, because their way of practicing with their connected spiritual ancestors is not what you do in your household. It creates a barrier, and it should be more of a bridge than a mountain. So anyway.
Yes. Yes. So as we were talking about the future, what are your thoughts collectively as the future? Go ahead, Dr. Smith.
I heard future and I just looked at Wesley, so that's all. I was like, I mean, it's, you know, my babies are grown. Like my oldest one is 32, 30, and then 26. So they're living their lives right now. So and based on their walk, I think I did something right. I think their mom did something right, uh, because they're doing things right, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And again, to echo what's already been said, it's part of our responsibility as parents, right, to learn from ours and make it our own on how we parent, right? I certainly did not parent the same way that my mother did, my dad did, my grandmother did, my nana did, my gummy did, grandpa. But there's some things I did parent exactly
Right.
how they did.
Right.
And you just kind of live and learn in that process. I will say, as it speaks to, you know, spirituality and community and connection, it's also a way to maintain of who we are what we have to give, some empowerment in that of recognizing, understanding what our ancestors have done, not only here in the United States, but globally. To as Wiley talked about, that immunization, right? Almost like that armor that we need to go out into the world. I also love what you said about being able to talk to your grandmother, your daughter's doing that. It also, I think it helps to understand this place we call Earth and life, because right, three things are definite in this world: taxes, birth, and death.
Yes.
And we have no problem talking about taxes and birth. We struggle with talking about death. But when we start integrating the spirituality piece into day-to-day living, it makes it a little bit easier to recognize, while physically they may not be here, spiritually they are always here. They're
Yes.
always have your back. They are always present. They are talking to you, and that you can engage in that, right? It's okay. We get older, and then it's like, oh, I can't talk to you anymore. Bull BS. Like, BS, because I need to talk to my grandmother. I need to talk to my mom who passed away a couple years ago.
Yes.
I need that interaction, right? I need that interaction. So not only that talking, that showing, that demonstrating piece. So for me, that's the future, to continue to do that. And Nicole and John has seen me do this time after time. Anytime I'm in a space or speaking, I'm acknowledging those that are there, but also those that aren't. And I'm talking about my ancestors, because I'm not here without them.
Amen.
Period. I am not here without them at all. And it's important for us to recognize that. And I attempt to do that every time I get a chance. So I think it's be honest with you, I think it's bright. I think it's moving in the right direction. Certainly we getting some bumps, like all things, but persistence. And that's just who we are as Black folks. Just going to say it, as Black and brown folks. We if we ain't nothing else, we persistent. All right. We are persistent, and we will wait. All right. Now we can get a little bit better on intentionality and collectivism on that persistence. But you know what I mean? We're persistent, because every one of our ancestors prayed for us to be where we're at now compared to where they were 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 generations ago.
Right.
They recognize, I don't want my offspring to be like this. I want them to be better.
Amen.
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 That's right.
Can I say, in the UK, I think there's been a lot of change where, say, for instance, and I'm going to just use like music as like the reference, because, say, for instance, where you guys were at in the 80s with rap, we've just gone past that period in the UK from 2005.
Wow.
So what you're realizing within because they're saying is that in the UK is that we're talking about 80% of the money generated inside music is Black music. You know what I mean? This, you know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
what you've got is now a lot of opportunity, a lot of expression, a lot of people now on a platform talking. So just like this platform, the wellness platform here, Wellness Podcast, talking about this subject, it's happening, and collaboration is happening. So where families have got, usually tight communities over here inside this, now we've got, where it was just London and everyone was coming to London, now it's Birmingham, now it's Manchester, now it's Liverpool, now it's Leeds. You were hearing people from Wales, you know what I mean? This is black people, you know what I mean? We from all over within the music, where those accents and dialects are being accepted and they are charting them. Again, it's growing. So where I can say is that now there is a collection of people within the music, what do music, they're now turning 40. You know what I mean? Like those are the first ones, they're turning 40. And now the next lot are turning, there's a next lot which are turning 30 just now. So there is more discussion, there was so much more. And there's, as I said, there's more collaboration. Everyone, the spirit is like literally that they said, yeah, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this. And they're growing some foundation that it's changed the game. You know,
Yes.
I will point to even just something which which are artists, Stormzy over here, just sidebar again, what the change is, and I think this is appropriate, is that he has a scholarship, and in the last maybe 5 years, he sent, say, 20 black kids to top universities, and he's been doing that every year, every year, every year. You know what I mean? He has a black publishing company for books, for writing, for black authors. You know what I mean? And this is doing now, you know? Like, say, for instance, a friend of mine showed me a post of that in America, you have over 30 production companies owned by black people. That's not the case here. That is literally just coming off the foot here, in where conversations and collaborations and are happening. So then conversations like this is happening. You know what I mean? You're seeing a lot more in just every day, in greeting each other. Like, say, for instance, we have a thing where it used to be like people just spelling each other. Yeah, so peace, respect. Now we're saying love. We reach in, and this is across, yeah, love. And you reach in, it's love. People saying, yeah, I'll see you soon. This is men to men or men to women. Yeah, love. You know what I mean? When they hate each other, you know? So again, this whole energy is happening over here. And yeah, it is very widespread, as I said, up and down the UK to each other. Again, which is unfortunate that we have them pockets of miscommunication, no de-escalation in terms of how we look at each other. We do have that, but it's not wide. The more widespread is the love, you know. And
Beautiful.
within that, it's a great energy. You know what I mean? Because I'm seeing it, and as the elders have to lead with that. You know, like, say, for instance, my age, I'm approaching 50 this year. We have to still keep leading with that at the end of the day, and actually show the youngsters, yeah, this way. Let's be this way with each other. You know, let's greet each other. Be the first to greet the young ones, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and to show them, you know, the way. So I think that is the change, and I think that's leading it to a better place for us all, you know, for the youngsters coming through.
I love the sense of community, and that sense of community has been brought in so much in this conversation, that on
Yeah.
spirituality, that we have come back over and over and over to this idea of a spiritual community, but also just a loving community and accepting community, more of an emphasis on community with the idea of spirituality. Junior, I know you were going to say something.
Oh, well, just real quick. You know, it's I love you said a couple things in there, Wesley. I like that you bigged up the Americas, because I'll be honest with you, I don't know if you noticed it when you've come over here. I don't know how many times you visited over here in the States, but because the fact that you grew up where you grew up, your Black experience, I know we're talking about spirituality, but I guess I'll bring a little bit of race into it. Your Black experience, you're not oriented, or your framework is different. I don't know if you noticed it when you came over here, seeing how Black people operate here. I'm not talking about, you know, people from the Caribbean and those from the continent of Africa, just Black Americans. I don't know if you noticed it, but your framework, because of the way that you grew up in the UK versus the way that Black people are, and because of our history that has happened here in this country, did you notice that your framework is a little bit different? The way that you carry yourself, the way that you think. Because I was always growing up, I was envious when I visited over to London. I realized that even at that young age, that you guys are oriented differently. Your framework is different. I was envious of that, not having that sort of framework. But I love the fact that you bigged us up in that conversation, because that made me feel like, yeah, we have done a lot in this country, an immense
Amazing.
amount of.
You've led the way. You've led a lot because again, in terms of like music, fashion, even ideas, just how we've grown up with that was all we had to look at. You know what I mean? And it was dominant. You know, we're talking from LA Cool J Def Jam days, you know, we're talking from Run DMC. You know what I'm saying? This is what we saw, you know, and that was exported here, you know, to what we saw. Again, and we have followed. Even then it was taboo to actually, the only way that you rapped was with American accent. You know, you with this fake American accent, you didn't rap in your English dialect. You know what I mean? As such, you know, you didn't rap in a Cockney slang or Cockney accent or a London, or again, this is what I'm saying, is that it wasn't accepting to have someone rap from Liverpool. If you was London was dominant in the music. So to come and rap in the Liverpool accent, we would before laugh at that, but now it's accepted. You know what I mean? So that's been the change, but it was mainly America was the lead. But just going back, I can say I've, again, being in Orlando and stuff, I think it's just, again, tourism. You know what I mean? So I wasn't really seeing certain realities. I think I'd have to go somewhere different, like Chicago or New York or you know, Atlanta, to actually really experience I'd say the American experience of being a Black person in America, where someone's not hearing me or thinking I'm just here for Disney World, you know, before, you know. So, you know what I mean? Because it's different. The cops ain't bothering me. I didn't see the cops, and I'm doing some mad stuff on the road, just learning how to sort of, hey, this is a different side of the road. Like, and, you know, they're not bothering. But if that was another part of the United States, I know, woo, is happening, and you're getting pulled over because you're doing something erratic. You're doing something to cause me to pull you over, you know what I mean? Just cause, you know, or, you know what I'm saying? Seeing me drive past doing the madness, you know what I mean? Regardless, I've got kids in the car. So again, it's something that we've again been magnified and being shown over here in our media to what your experience is and stuff like that. Again, through storytelling, through movies, videos, short film, again, explosion of social media to what we see you guys have to deal with or have dealt with, you know what I mean, in the years, decades, you know, since. But no, we can relate to pockets of where it was my uncles, which were growing up and being chased down the road and stuff like that, to it was then seeing the Black people weren't bothered. Like later on, it was the Asian community what was being chased and being racially abused as they was inside certain areas, you know, which is literally down the road. When I'm hearing people that's the same age as me, this is at university age, tell me of their childhood on what it was on somewhere where my family lived. And I'm like, I was there. No, that never happened to me, but that happened to them. You know what I'm saying? And all these kind of things are really like, no, man, that can't happen to us, because by then certain things have changed. But then again, some things in certain parts are still the same. So again, that relation there, once I said, we had the M25, which is a road that goes around London. Once you come out of that and you start traveling further afield, then you will see the UK. And the UK can be great, but there can be pockets and parts where they're not liking who I am. You know what I mean? So you just have to, again, be on your six and be just watching what you're doing, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I can tell you, just growing up, just on, again, sidebars, that I've never been out and out racially abused. Never had that experience. You know what I mean?
I'm happy for you.
It's, you know what I mean? But I can say that it's, again, the English way is to be more silent with it, is to be more sneaky with it, you know, rather than be direct with you or shine the odds. But again, we could go into that all, which is happening right now, but then that's another conversation.
That is another
Yeah.
conversation.
You know what I
As
mean?
we wrap up this conversation, any final thoughts?
We're talking about the future, and I think the future is deconstruction. Everybody's deconstructing right now, and it's interesting that the deconstruction movement is very it's not anti-Christianity as much as it's undoing trauma.
Yes.
And I believe that spirituality is, because it is an immune system, that's exactly what it does. When you embrace spirituality, you start to do that inner healing. And it's like you start to separate yourself from the things that the church taught you that didn't serve you, that had you bound up, right? Then, negative beliefs, negative self-talk, your value, your worth, or I ain't nothing without Jesus. That kind of stuff is bad spirituality. I can't do it without Christ. That's bad spirituality, because what it does, it devalues you. And so I think what's happening now is that a lot of people are like, well, I like church, I love Jesus, but I don't subscribe to this kind of stuff. I don't subscribe to that belief. I don't subscribe to that self-talk. And I think it's a deconstruction movement, but it's a spiritual movement, because most people that I've learned from and learn spirituality from will tell you that spirituality is liberative. I mean, at its core, it's liberative. And so if you're not trying to liberate yourself, then you're not really being spiritual. You're not doing spirituality, because spirituality will liberate you. It'll liberate you from whatever has you bound up. Sometimes you don't even know you're bound up.
Yes.
Right. And then as soon as you start getting spiritual, as soon as you start tapping into your own power, your own inner self, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, the God within, Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it, when you start to tap into that, your eyes are open, and now you realize, dog, this has been holding me back. This has been holding me back for years and decades. And then you start to purge, and then and that's what deconstruction is. So I think, we need to start really building communities around deconstruction and spirituality, because the two go hand in hand. If we're really gonna take this to the next level, we have to encourage people and say, look, I've been where you've been, or hey, I'm going through the same thing you've been going through. Let's walk together, so that we don't get people who abandon the church and they just out there in the street, with crystals and and dowsing rods and whatnot, not knowing what's going on, but they're really getting an understanding of what being spiritual and spirituality means.
Yes.
Thank you, Wiley.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
My
Final
pleasure.
thoughts?
No, he just dropped the mic.
I get it. I agree. He does that.
He just dropped the mic. So I do want to say it's great seeing Junior and Wiley again. Good seeing you, brothers, and then great meeting Wesley as well, and sharing what's going on in the future with us a little bit. So. Oh, and always my sister and my brother Nicole and Big John. Thank you for the invite as always, and the couple hours this Friday evening.
Yes.
Oh, we appreciate you so much, Dr. Smith. You know, it's all love, and all love to all of you guys. Like, this has been a really powerful conversation, and one that I'm going to take a lot away from. And it also very affirming affirming about where I am, and then very spiritually affirming, about where I am and where we are as a people, as a culture, as humans, at this time in history, this time on the clock of the world. So I really thank you. I thank you all for being present and being involved and participating. Coach, any last words?
Yeah, I'm gonna be very quick. I first of all want to thank everyone that's partake in this here conversation. Wesley from London, Junior from your location, Dr. Smith and Dr. Wiley. I appreciate you guys, and my beautiful wife, Dr. Nicole. I appreciate you guys for this here time. You have really fed my soul today. But I like to take a moment just to give thanks to our ancestors and just be thankful for what they have imparted in us, what they had to endure for us to be free today. And I'm thankful.
Ashe.
I love you guys.
Ashe, ashe, ashe.
I love it. So from us to you, we want to thank you all for listening in to this episode. I hope that it resonated with you. I hope that it fed you. And we are looking forward to the next one. We'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Love you guys.
Peace.
And thank you for the invite. Cheers. Love to you all. Love.
Later, guys.
Peace to the future.
The information and opinions that are expressed on this podcast are for education, information, and entertainment purposes only. The information is not intended as medical, psychiatric, or psychological advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult with a personal physician or other healthcare professional for your own specific mental and/or physical healthcare concerns. No physician-patient or counselor-client relationship is created by listening to or watching this program. Do not avoid or delay seeking medical advice or attention from your healthcare provider because of something you learned about on this program.